All right. Who grew up watching Power Rangers? So that's going to be the pretty much the focus of tonight, as well as a couple other things. But also on Instagram, very soon is going to be this beautiful giveaway. It is a piece of Steve Messenger artwork. It is a 12 by 18 poster. Harley Quinn signed by Steve Messenger. So make sure to check that out. And there will be an opportunity for a giveaway on here later on tonight. But let's get into it right here, right now. Here is Alex and the Spider
Hello.
Slayer.
Hey,
What is
what's
up,
up, guys?
everyone? How's it going?
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Going good. I just got back home from work.
Oh,
Where did you get into Power Rangers?
I think I was like, what was I? I think like 5, 6
Okay.
when I got into Power Rangers.
So which one would that have been for you?
I don't know, to be honest. Do you remember that movie, the Power Rangers with the guy who comes like kind of like a Black Knight, sort of? Looks like a black.
Turbo?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like
With the
orange
cars?
No, I think so. Oh no,
Okay.
it's been a very long time since it was the movie that was that McDonald's gave away. Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't remember that
The
one.
VHS, like they gave away free VHS of a Power Rangers movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was old.
You dude. Hey, fun fact. I was living in Oxnard when I got that, and I didn't know this until my mom told me a couple years later that they filmed that movie in Oxnard, and and it's close to my grandma's house, the building, which they had to jump out of and stuff. I thought that was really cool. So come to Oxnard, California, if you guys want to go see part of Power Rangers history for that one scene.
Lightspeed Rescue was the one that came out in 2000 on VHS.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Okay.
Oh shit, I'm old.
VHS. VHS. Wow.
Who remembers VHS in the chat? Who remembers VHSs?
Right.
Yeah. I missed
Where did you get into it, Spider Slayer?
Oh well, how do I say this without looking like I'm too old?
Dude, we all know. Everyone here is old.
I was pretty much raising children then, and my stepson, this was his show, the original Power Rangers, not the Turbo and all that. I got to see all that too, but I started at the very beginning. And what I liked about it, honestly, was it was like next level Voltron, because I come from that era. Like I was a kid when Voltron was out, like the original Voltron. So the Power Rangers for me was like the early 90s. It was like an upgrade for me, like an upgrade. Like I saw it to be very like, I don't know. At first I was like, oh, look at their bite and all, but then I'm like, no, you can't say that. That's when I started realizing about inspiration. I was like, wait, they're just inspired by Voltron to make something like this in Gundam and Robotech. Or you start to see that, oh, okay, it's a Japanese style of manga. And that's how I really, believe it or not, through Power Rangers is when I first started messing with manga. Which inspires me manga comics, see? So yeah.
What about you,
Chris? Back deep with this, and I love the original Power Rangers for sure.
So I grew up.
What about you, Chris? How'd you get into it?
It was the Turbo movie that came out. So shortly after Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was watching Mighty Morphin growing up. I always loved it. Loved the Pink Ranger. Actually had recurring nightmares about the Pink Ranger when she went evil.
Dude,
as a kid growing up.
I'm pretty sure they're not nightmares now.
No, they're not nightmares now. Amy Jo Johnson is my jam.
Wait, who was your favorite? Mine was the Red Ranger.
So I grew up liking the Red Ranger. One of my favorites was the Black Ranger and the Green Ranger. So Tommy and I can't remember what the Black Ranger's name was in that series. But those two were like my go-tos, the ones I really liked. And of course, every little boy growing up watching Power Rangers always wants to be the Red Ranger because that's the leader of the whole group, right?
No, I just like red. That's why that was my favorite color.
So yeah, like green was my favorite color growing up. So I'd kind of idolized Tommy, which kind of leads me to this because like I had no idea this movie was becoming a Kickstarter. Like that was not something on my radar back in 2019. And like this Legend of the White Dragon has been completely funded through Kickstarter. It was like, from what I can understand, there's no outside funding. There's no like there's pretty much no leg to stand on if this movie doesn't come out. All of that Kickstarter money just disappears, and I don't even know what would happen to it then. Like,
Man, I should do a Kickstarter for my comic. What am I doing?
would the
to make
backers
money.
have to get
Hell,
their
man.
money back because they didn't get the final product that they
No,
were told they would
say
get?
it's in the terms and conditions where it's a risk you're taking. So I did a backup for a bad idea. It's a risk you're taking if the product's not fulfilled or if it doesn't meet its thing. You are not entitled to a refund. It's a risk you're taking.
If it gets funded.
Yeah. Basically, it's like investing. Like if you
Which
invest
makes
something
sense.
and it goes down, then you don't get your money back. You lose money. And that's the whole thing about Kickstarter.
Which definitely makes sense, and I definitely appreciate the fact that it is...
That's why I only did a $10 tier.
What's up, Cray Cray?
Hey, what's up, Cray Cray?
Because I do appreciate that, like, this is meant to be something no one's ever done before. Like, the Power Rangers movie that came out in the late 2010s was okay. I mean, it had its flaws. They were kind of major. But, I mean, the 5, 6, 7-year-old kid in me immediate was like, oh, Power Rangers are coming to live action movie. It's finally going to be the Power Rangers we all deserved growing up. So I loved it. Like, every little bit of me was excited about that movie, whether it sucked or not. But watching Mighty Morphin back with my son right now, he's into that one and Dino Fury. I'm like, I don't really ever understand why people thought this was really great. But it was the early 90s, so I mean there wasn't as much CGI. You're watching basically these Japanese actors throwing themselves across a set.
Like it, fun.
Yeah. It was low budget. But definitely well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you're kids, so you're younger, you know, you gotta look at the world differently. Like you said, everything changes over time. And I mean, I'm actually gonna probably do soon. I'll do it on YouTube just to see if people. I want to do like a watch party of the original Spider-Man, just to see for myself, like just how
with the one with Toby or
what I've memorized, I remembered of it versus how it actually is. How's it hold up over time? And I got the feeling that it probably will be one of those movies that will probably hold up really good over time. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Anakin.
Anakin, yeah, that's why it's your birthday, man. I'm gonna send you
party
something.
Like it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Put that 50 Cent song on there. Monetize.
So yeah, we were talking about like the fate of the White Dragon movie. And like, I honestly, to not release this, I feel like you'd be doing a disservice to the memory of Jason David Frank.
I agree.
Yeah. I do too.
Even if it sucks, even if it's not worth releasing, release it to wherever you can and allow people to enjoy it for the nostalgia.
Yeah, his final work, right?
It's one of his posthumous
posthumous,
however you say that word.
It always got, when I was younger, that word always kind of confused me because it has the word humor in it. It's like, wait, aren't they dead? That word always fucked me up when I was younger. All right, that was
today's show is brought to you by posthumous.
Legend of the White Dragon and Underdogs Rising are going to be the two roles that come out after his death. And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always also was a posthumous role that used archival audio and footage.
When did he die again?
In 2022, I believe.
All right, because I remember
November 2022.
I remember seeing a post a news article about it.
November
I was trying to remember the year.
2022.
Yep,
Yeah.
November 19, 2022,
There we
age
go, yeah.
49. Like,
Self-deleted. Just leave it like that.
Yep.
Honestly. But yeah, it sucks, It sucks. But as I was doing research on this, because I was calling a couple connects thinking I was gonna get like a straight answer, and the more I kept asking about this movie's release date, the more of a rabbit hole I kept falling down. It was like getting ridiculous. I had to pull out. But okay, so originally,
Wait, I thought you
this
never
movie
pulled
was
out.
supposed to be.
Sorry,
You always
I saw
gotta
an
pull out, my
opportunity.
brother, no matter what.
you
Sorry,
took
man.
it. You're good.
It's been 2 weeks since I've been on here.
So that this movie was supposed to be released in the fall of 2023. That was the original timeline. Now it went to the first quarter of 2024, but now I'm hearing two things. It's going from late summer to early fall. And there's no specific reason as to why. What I believe is like there's, if you guys know anything about the Power Rangers curse, I mean, it's really bad. A lot of people died in really weird ways. Some were young. I mean, Rita, the girl who played Rita in Power Rangers, she died of I think she died of cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was
So did
pancreatic
Zordon.
cancer.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah, pancreatic
There's like
cancer.
two people who died of lung cancer.
Pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
And Zoran died of lung cancer. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just like the Yellow Ranger was the original one, the Chinese girl. She was the original one who had a freak car accident and her car went off the cliff. So I mean, it's just tragical because I know it's been the span over years. So, but at least four people. Well, 5 if you count Tommy's brother that they used for a special.
Yep.
And he wound up dying first, and then unfortunately, this guy took his life, and that's so you're talking about out of the original Power Rangers, 6 of the original cast are no longer with us. Just think about that for a minute. And it hasn't been that long. It really hasn't been that long. And so
we're talking 30 years now.
Yeah. I mean, and I do see that some people that did have health problems, they died. I get that.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, like, from the first series to have that many people die in that show is just a little.
Oh, for sure.
It is 30 years, but still. I mean, it's just a little freaky, like how some of them passed away. And it starts making you think, like, was there a curse? I don't know. But, I mean, Hollywood's a fickle place because, they won't say it, but they believe in this, I guess. I mean, the way I was told it, so take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, but this is like the main reason they're not pushing it is because, they're trying to they feel that time will, push this forward. So the conversation, we could dedicate to the movie and love and memory of Tommy instead of, talking about exactly what happened. I mean, for them, that's what I believe that, because when they don't tell you a specific date and you have a tragedy like this, I mean, and it wasn't like Chadwick Boseman where he completed his movie and God rest his soul. It wasn't a situation like that. This was a self-deletion. So I just believe that because of that particular incident, this is the entire reason why it's being held up. I do believe they are going to put it up from what I'm being told. It's just that they want to put more time. I guess time heals all wounds. They want people to forget pretty much, what actually happened, which nobody's going to forget, especially the kids that grew up watching this, because the concept of having an adult-oriented Power Rangers movie would have been it's amazing. Like, what a great thing. I want to see them really beating the hell out of each other. I want to see blood and all that. We're adults now. We can watch this now.
The trailers look amazing.
I mean, I'm really excited to. When you told me about it today, yesterday, I was like, oh man. Sorry, I forgot about this. And then I just started digging all this up, and I'm like, oh, wow.
And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like it has been kind of like pushed away and forgotten about, because obviously you've got the really... What was that?
No, he said like he wants to like a more darker, like more adult version of Power Rangers. So you mean like kind of like the last Ronin, or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for kids and everything, but then it went dark.
Yes, exactly.
More violent. So
Right.
You want something like that?
Exactly.
Well, you know, they were
Yeah.
teenagers at one time, right? So they become men. So that's what happens when you become a man. You become a Ronin in their culture. So yeah, I mean that's what you want. I mean we're
Yeah.
all adults now.
I agree.
They
I
were
think
fighting as kids and
a
teenagers. Now they're
grittier Power Rangers would be really
adults with
cool.
adult consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
so growth.
So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, like the biggest thing is the fact that this movie, in large parts, kind of been forgotten about by the mainstream media because it was so hidden for so long. Like the first Kickstarter for this failed. It was completely like it didn't get funded. The second Kickstarter, they restarted it right. I believe it was right before COVID or right as COVID happened. Then that got funded. I think it made, I want to say it's like $580,000 that it ended up making. Um, and that was the budget for the film. Like that is all the money they have to use. $508,000 or $508,578 is what they made on that Kickstarter, and that's all they have.
Okay.
So to be able to put out this movie, you know this movie is going to make money. There is going to be so much nostalgia behind this and so much love for this character, even though you don't even know who this character is really, because the fact that it's a Tommy Oliver style movie from what we can tell, because the fact you've got Jason David Frank as the main character, and because it is just down and dirty action with a wonderful story, it feels like it people will go see it. Hands down, it will be very similar to Spider-Man No Way Home. People are going to go see it of all generations because it's going to be that movie that people are going to want to talk about. And they said that it's going to release in like the 10 big markets. So I guess that means like New York City, Pittsburgh, something like that. California over there. I'm wondering if this is going to be released to theaters, like every theater. Or is that too much money to risk?
Well, when I was hearing about releases, I was hearing something similar about limited releases in the big cities, I guess. And they're gonna see what it would do because with the limited release, you gotta understand like what this means. It's kind of like when I discovered this printing comics too. Like if you're going through like comics, like what I did mine independently, so mine does not count for what I'm about to say. But usually, like what some people do is when they're making comics and they want to do like let's say something Marvelous or DC-esque, you have to print a certain amount of comics, like 3,500, to be qualified for that kind of scaling. So with the movies, it's the same thing because of the budget. You have to meet a certain criteria. So limited release just means that they just meet the point where, there's enough buzz drummed up about it, but rather than scatter it in all little places, we're gonna put it in the major markets where we know because you gotta understand how Hollywood works too. Hollywood works in tandem with advertisers and toy companies, and so they look.
Yeah.
Okay, Power Rangers, where it sold the most, what was the gross revenue back in the day, and what cities were Power Rangers the most successful in. They take that data, then they computate that, and this is where you'll have releases. But you'll see they'll be asking people anyway, would you like to see it? You're going to see teasers like that. Would you like to see it come to your city? And it's just going to be more of a filling out process because with everything that's happened with COVID, which I will say that for sure, that put a damper on everything. Besides everything else that happened, along with that, because I can tell you from personal experience, I mean, I have good and bad feelings about it. It really screwed my money up. I'm on call right now, so I haven't gotten on a job yet, but I'm still on call, which is a good thing, But like I said, if I wasn't able to take that break, I wouldn't have been able to do my comic and do everything I need to do. Now I can just get everything else done because it's more automatic. But once Hollywood shut down, and for people like that, and you got the COVID, they also had the strike. I mean, these two factors are going to delay so many projects. But also, you got to understand too, with some projects that are funded by like the big studios, this is their excuse to let it die. Let's say, you always put in an over saturation of content out there. But with these independent projects, that's what's good about them, is that he doesn't fall under that this doesn't fall under the same criteria. But the limited thing, unfortunately, will fall under it unless it really starts to pick up. And I believe, because I was talking to some adults that are, I'm going to say, in their 30s, and I believe in their 30s, mid 30s, 30, I say from 34 to 38. This is like the perfect range. Like from 30 to 38, I find it to be like the perfect age group of adults who grew up, who are adults now, who have the funds and the money. Because I don't care what business you're into. Always know you have a targeted audience. Target that audience. Don't target a small demographic. You already know what works. These people already been doing this for years. So there's no need to change the formula. It's like one day I'm going to give you a formula to make money. Don't change it. Just make money with it.
Yeah. The biggest thing about Power Rangers is you have a demographic that each generation throughout the past 30 years has found their favorite Power Ranger, their favorite series growing up. Because for me, it was everything Mighty Morphin up until Turbo. Then I got back into it, I want to say, around Dino Thunder, because obviously Tommy Oliver came back, and that was amazing to watch all that play out. And then SPD came after that, and I loved SPD. I want to say I was like 12 or 13. I was like, this is a Power Ranger show that truly feels like what Power Rangers would be. Like, very next level police.
Oh, wait, very quick.
So
I gotta leave right now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be on for a little bit. I have stuff to do.
You're good.
To work on. But yes, it's very nice to see you. And we could talk more about scheduling the interview for my club later on with in the chat between us.
Definitely. Let's get that. Let's get that done. I would love to have it happen.
Yeah.
Have a great night, everyone.
Ready.
Be safe.
You too.
You're right. You too. You too, Alex. Take care.
So yeah, like I loved SPD. I thought that was a really great iteration of Power Rangers. My son is currently watching Dino Fury, and he's enjoying it. And I mean, it is a little bit cheesier. It's obviously I'm older, but it's fun to watch. It's enjoyable, and it's enjoyable for him, so that makes it enjoyable for me. You know what I mean? Like, our parents didn't have a Power Rangers growing up. So now we're in that weird generation where the same stuff that was coming out when we were kids is now what we're introducing our kids to. And
exactly.
It's going to be really interesting to see how well movies like this continue to do, because like I said, Spider-Man No Way Home, that spoke to 3 separate generations of Spider-Man fans. You had the older Spider-Man fans that grew up with Tobey. You had the kids who grew up with Tobey but then fell in love with Andrew. And then you had the kids who didn't know Tobey or Andrew but knew Tom, and all of them came together for that big movie. Same thing's going to happen with Deadpool 3. Like, these are these rare times in our lives that we're going to see 30 years, or in the case of Deadpool, nearly 30 years of movies coming together all on one screen.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, you know, Marvel could have been doing this. They could have continued doing this. They've been doing this. Avengers, the highest grossing movie in history. Enough said. They know what they're doing. You just got to go back to that formula where it works. What people love more than anything else is when they're watching something, especially fans of the comics. I know they hate the freaking. You gotta know nothing and come from original, but no, because a lot of these guys, I started to understand. I have my suspicions, and I'm gonna actually do a special on YouTube soon about this. It's gonna be very well put together, documented. But apparently, my suspicions were correct. About Bully Maguire, he actually was a Spider-Man fan, but was told by his agents, "Kid, don't even say you ever watched the comics just to get the part." And this is something that apparently is being said. And I have a lot of research, I have a lot of footage, so I'm gonna do a whole special on this. But yeah, this is absolutely 1,000,000% true. But just because they don't want you to be like Ryan Reynolds, you already know he was made for Deadpool. He is Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
See, with him, he broke that. He explained to them, shut up and let's make money. This is how it's done. This is the comic. This is how he is. Just let it be. Stop trying to fight against this. Let's do this Deadpool movie. He said, let's do the first R-rated movie, do the Deadpool movie the way it needs to be done, which is like this.
Yeah.
And it was a success. And why? Because you gave the fans what they wanted. People want nostalgia. People want to have that familiarity. Like when I was first watching, like I told you, one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man movies of all time is freaking Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2. Holy shit. You talk about hitting everything on the mark.
Same.
Like, I'm not crazy about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I do like the character. I just not, I don't know. And maybe it's the hair. I just have been crazy about the movie hair. Because I always had a problem with that. Like, how's he getting that thing under the mask and it's not bunched up? Like, what the hell, bro? But anyway, I got over that. He's a great actor, by the way. I think one of the best Spider-Man. But that one was right. That's the death of Gwen Stacy. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, I almost teared. I was almost tearing because my fiance, at the time we were watching it, and I didn't have the heart to tell her what I thought was going to happen. So you can imagine how, she saw that, and then you see at the end how her back breaks, and she knows it, and because in the comics it's the same thing in the panels.
Yep.
If you guys never read this, and there's a
perfectly done.
Now, I suggest you grab all of those comics, read them, and then go watch that movie. I'm telling you, the best Spider-Man movie ever made, bar none. I don't care. Even a Far From Home, I like that, but it wasn't nothing compared to that because that grabbed the comic. To me, I felt like, oh my God, for once they actually listened to the fans. And I don't know who was responsible for making it like that or whose suggestion it was, but do you see that old formula worked so well? That movie made so much money. You got to introduce characters that, it followed the comics, and I'm a big nostalgia fan when it comes to things like that. But Deadpool, what's great about Deadpool is he has so much range throughout the whole MCU. It's ridiculous. I mean, you can put him on Battleworld. He's there. He's like in different spots where he's not supposed to be, but he's Deadpool, so he can be wherever the hell he wants to be. And I like the range of Deadpool, and I like what Ryan Reynolds is doing. And that's right. He already made you guys money twice. Listen to what the man's telling you.
Yep.
I already told you that's going to make over $1 billion. I already know it. There's going to be so much nostalgia bait. There's not going to be nothing else coming out from Marvel other than the Disney Plus crap, which nobody's going to care about that. They want Marvel movies. They're the only ones coming out. Believe me, this is going to do so well because they got so many plans, so many big cameos, and we already discussed it. We already know. I'm pretty sure. I'm coming down to right now to say it's about 75% lock that you will see a cameo of Doctor Doom. You will see a cameo of some of the Fantastic Four as well. Not like Pascal per se, but you will see some. I'm hearing Johnny Storm action. I'm hoping. But yeah, it's going to be really like this movie is reaching for the stars. They have to because they realize what they did wrong.
Yeah.
Look,
they got to get back to the Marvel formula.
The Marvels 3 have been canceled.
Yep. Like, Ant-Man 4 was canceled.
Ant-Man and
Eternals 2.
So. Yep. If you did, gone. I couldn't believe they were even discussing Eternals to bring it back. I'm sorry. This is a business as well as a nostalgia bait business. We already know. If fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me too. But I'm saying, like, you got to understand when you get this kind of nostalgia, you got people like me grew up in the comics, and we're expecting to see something, And we're not. Oh, and I understand you can't do everything the same way as a comic, but Jesus Christ, like when they made Gore. In Thor, Love and Thunder, they made Gore such a bitch ass. He has the freaking all black. The
fact that he didn't look like Gore.
That Noel has.
And the fact that they listened to one test screening and changed up a majority of Gore's storyline just baffles me. Because like that whole scene with Zeus that was in the final cut was never supposed to be in the final cut. It was supposed to be him and Zeus talking with each other, never him going there and getting completely embarrassed the hell out of. Real quick, I want to just say something about Cray Cray's comment. I completely agree. Jason David Frank is the Deadpool of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers universe.
Yes,
He is the Ryan Reynolds of that universe because he knows what the source material was and what it could be, and then made everything that led up to this. He was in Mighty Morphin. I believe he was in Alien Rangers. I think he came back in Zeo and Turbo. And I want to say he pretty much had recurring roles in some of them leading up to Dino Thunder. And then I want to say Dino Thunder was his last appearance until Once and Always. But I can't remember exactly, but those are like his big things. And like, yeah, he pushed it over and over again. And lo and behold, we got amazing content because of it.
Yeah, and that's what you do. Like when you find something that works, I'm sorry, milk the cow until the cow gives you nothing but powder. You gotta milk it. You got to. Don't overthink it. Like it's I don't know what you call it. The balance, symmetry, that right strike of whatever that mixes in the universe that just at that moment just so happens to be like the perfect combination. Don't change the formula. There's formulas in this universe. That's one of them. You leave it be, I just say like with everything that's been going on in Hollywood lately and the way that I see the business changing, because I mean, I'm gonna say within the next couple of years, I mean, we're pretty much all gonna be able to make quality film. You'll see. I mean, the technology's getting like that, and this was what that whole strike was about, because I mean, the emergence of everything, it's just gonna change the entire business, and it's gonna put a lot of people out of work. But I think it's also going to create a freaking flood of content that you'll never like. Their theory, I call it the great content theory, is flood the market with content. Don't worry about the content. Give them more content. Keep flooding the market again and again. This is the theory that is going on now, that I feel like an oversaturation of stuff is not necessarily a good thing. You can have an oversaturation of amazing content. That would be a great thing. And that's what it comes down to, the quality of content. Because when you're concentrating so much on trying to outshine what brought you to the dance, you're never going to make good content, because you're going to be caught up in trying to compete with what you're part of instead of embracing what made that special. It's like, to me,
that's what DC did for years. Yeah. That's what started the DCEU, and it failed hard. They tried to keep up with what Marvel was doing. They tried to replicate the secret formula that Marvel had. I'll give you a hint. There was no secret formula. It was just really amazing content that they put out.
Yeah.
And they tried to replicate all of that for years. From, I want to say it was like 2012 all the way up until it just ended last year in 2023. And those 10, 11 years were complete failures. Nothing ever really hit home. Nothing ever went anywhere. Nothing really ever had any consequences based on each other. Like, it was just, let's put all these characters together as quickly as possible and let's call it a day. And you go through all the comments of like people talking about it now, and they're all like, they went straight to the source material that nobody wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Like, why would you start with the death of Superman? Why is that the story you want to start with? Why would you start with Steppenwolf? Nobody knows who that character is unless you've been reading DC Comics for 40 years, which fits this demographic.
And that's the problem. It's that this is what the problem is that these studios, these directors, and these producers, and everybody that don't understand how the comic companies and the way the world works is shooting for the smallest demographic that doesn't exist for the comics. The people who cry and bitch about comics the most, I got news for you. Don't buy comics. They just don't. They don't. For whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe it's just something you don't like to collect, but you can talk a good game about. I used to have conversations with people online, and I would tell them about my Amazing Spider-Man collection. I started going through the numbers I got, and they would tell me, I'm like, oh, yeah, That's cool. So I pull out my book and show them, oh yeah, look, here's the book. And then they show me like a perfect picture. I'm like, what's that? Oh, that's the book. I'm like, that's a picture. Oh no, that's my digital book. Oh no, you're gone. That's it. Kick it out of here. Like, no, I'm not saying don't collect those, but what I'm saying is that this is the people who complain about comics and the way they are. See, when I complain about the comics and the woke nonsense I'll read in it, it's only because I read them and I pick them up and I know, and I'm a customer. And guess what? You're gonna have to take my criticism. And if you don't like to take my criticism, then don't take my money. Right? Hey, it's all good. I take criticism for everybody on my comic. Good, bad, whatever. That's how you improve. You got to make things that people aren't going to like. And if you're not going to start with that, then you're never going to be successful no matter how much content you put out. And that's what the key of the future is about. So people, you got to understand the tools that are coming are going to help you in the long run. It's not like, and for artists and everybody else that are upset about this, I understand. It sucks. I'm an artist as well. I know. But I can tell you right now, I'm already seeing and embracing what this can do. And it doesn't mean that everything's going to be done automatically. You're still going to have to come up with ideas. You still have to come up with concepts and stories. It's not going to do anything like that. People think that Chat GPT and all this is just going to be able to sit there and make its own content. Listen, it's like having it can't, because look at the Google AI. When you have human beings artificially programming and artificial intelligence with human beings ethics and thoughts and things about reality, your machines are going to pick up the same biases as you. So I see like what these machines do is they literally pick up on biases and they go with that. And that's not, I'm not saying that you can't work out the kinks with that. But what I'm trying to explain to people is that when you see all this AI, don't get all nervous about it, because you have to know how to program it still, how to talk to it, how to prompt it, what to tell it. You have to know structure. You have to know language. It's like talking to a kid, but using big words. You don't have to go really like technical. Like I use Chat GPT for when I'm dictating my comic. Like instead of me sitting there, I write, like what I do for nostalgia for myself is, and people tell me all the time, what are you doing? I say, what? Dictate your whole comic. Why are you writing anything down by hand? And I go, well, for one, that's a piece of history in the future. So there you go. So
what's up, Hoarders? How's it going?
That'll be my what's up, Hoarders? How you doing? That'll be my Bible. So but I do use Chat GPT for dictation. So I tell it, I give it the character's name. So when I'm hitting up Waylon, my artist, I just want to show something real quick that Waylon did for me. This is an Einstein I gotta put up somewhere. But that's a little Einstein that he did for me. But I really like this one.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I really like this one too. This one, I'll show you. That's from a famous Venom cover.
Yep.
And what's cool about this is he did this and he used glow in the dark paint, so it actually glows in the dark.
Oh, that's sweet.
A really good piece.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking a lot about Jason David Frank's last project, the Legend of the White Dragon, and how it kind of ties into like the nostalgia that we've been seeing with Deadpool 3, even with Logan. Like that was another nostalgic movie. Being able to see Hugh Jackman, what we thought was going to be his last role. Spider-Man No Way Home was a big one.
Yeah.
Like all these different nostalgia things that are coming out, and even Obi-Wan was another one. Being able to go back and see Obi-Wan on screen for another time allowed people to kind of get another version of a character they really loved. And
I'm not gonna lie, I got all fanboyed out when I saw Luke Skywalker coming at the second season and the Mandalorian. I ain't gonna lie. I like things like that. And that's what we need. We need more of that. And stop trying to change the past. Just that was enough.
Exactly.
Put Luke Skywalker in it. He goes off with Roku. They train a little bit. That's fine. That's all you needed. You don't need anything else. That to me, like in those moments, like like for me, look, the Mandalorian. My recommendation, if you're going to watch The Mandalorian, just go to season 1 and 2. Don't even waste your time with season 3.
Agreed.
Don't do it. You're going to regret it. My opinion. You want to do it, that's fine. We can talk about it in chats.
I,
But 1 and 2, I feel were perfect because it was pretty much about
yeah.
it was about the Mandalorian and Goroku for 2 seasons, and at
Yep.
the end, he did what his mission was to get, because this was a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This was a job. This is cargo. He's a smuggler. He's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's a Mandalorian. That's what they do to survive and make money. Like, when you see them in the Star Wars universe, they seem like they're just rebel scoundrels, but they're not. They have an order. They have an entire culture, religion. They have a planet that was destroyed, Mandalore. Like, there's an entire history behind these people. So the people that know them in that universe know, oh, you don't mess with these people. But that's what I like season 1 and season 2 dealt with the whole Goroku thing. But I felt like after that, they could have just left it like that, did a movie, and it would have been fine. I just felt like season 3 was too much forgiveness. I need, because I took off my mask and now I gotta go to the waters, and if I no, come on, man, nah, you were fine. You were fine.
Season 3 should have been a different continuation. It should have been called Mandalore. It should, or revival of Mandalore, or something that had to do with bringing back the Mandalorians in a way that was true to their origin, as well as it wasn't like over the top, like we're just doing this to make money. It's, we really want the Mandalorians to come back, and we want there to be a reason for them to come back. Right now, it feels like there's really no reason to continue this story, because it's like, okay, now you're just giving us Star Wars content to give us Star Wars content.
Yeah,
there's nowhere you could take this story right now.
When you were doing the Mandalorian, what I liked about him is that, I mean, this is the way I feel shows, comics, video games should all be structured. Every time the character steps up to the plate, meaning like there's trouble brewing, or you know, survives a battle, it's like in a video game, you level up. And that's what I feel shows should be about. Every encounter should be a level up, a learning experience. And guess what? For the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, that's exactly what they were doing. Every time he fought, he was leveling up, to the point that he was literally getting money so he could level up his armor. And remember, it's in I believe it was the second season, in the 3rd episode, he was in a huge gun battle where they were blowing the turrets at his ass, but his armor was reflective because he upgraded his armor, and the people like bouncing off. I was like, I know it was BS, but still, it was. I was like, I like that because they're showing you this character's leveling up as he's going along, discovering his path. That's great storytelling. Mandalorian had no complaints to me about that because there was nothing to compare it to. There was it's what Star Wars should be if you're gonna do side stories. But what you did to him in season 3 is unforgivable. I'm sorry, you just literally stripped him of everything he'd done. It's like you took the time to build this man up just to have a strong, independent female tear him back down. And I'm not bashing on females or female heroes, for real. I'm definitely not. I'm still upset with X-Men 97. They took my girl Rogue's ass. Hashtag bring Rogue's ass back. Bring it back. I'm telling you. Oh my God, I can't. I remember watching that in 97, watching that cartoon from 94 to 97, and it was the shit in it. I loved X-Men. That was one of my all-time favorite, which I was going to get into earlier, what I think DC should have just kept doing, which I think you'll agree with me with this. I got to say, without a shadow of a doubt, when it comes to animated series, DC is the number one, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm going to tell you why.
Sure.
But there you go. You see, this is where your strength lies. Your strength
lies knows what to do with their animated characters. Bro, and they can do so much more.
Tim Conroy, God rest his soul. Everybody knows that man. Everybody knows that voice. That is Batman. When you hear that man on the scene, that's Batman. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care if you never even watched the cartoon. I put that clip on sometimes to people that have never even seen Batman, and they know, oh, what's that Batman stuff? I was like, you know who that is? Yeah, that's Batman. Everybody knows the voice. You see, that's what DC thrives. And I'm going to be honest. We still got to give Jim Lee a shot because, you know, he hasn't been president for that long of DC, but let's see what Jim Lee can do. I mean, you do have a very experienced, I mean, dude, he made X-Men. What X-Men become is that in X-Men 97. That's Jim Lee.
Yeah.
You heard David Nakayama say it from his own lips. He said it.
So real quick, if you want to win this beautiful piece of artwork by Steve
Nice.
Messenger, signed by Steve Messenger in 2021, drop that little hashtag into the chat. Hashtag Harley. This only applies to the live stream, but you get 2 entries into the giveaway.
Nice.
And that
Good
giveaway
luck,
is going to be
everybody.
posted on Instagram very, very soon. I'm actually in the process of working on the post right now. So please make sure to drop that hashtag Harley into the chat. But yeah, I will say, like, rewatching X-Men right now, not every single scene that you see Rogue's ass is a ginormous ass. But like, being completely realistic about this and thinking about it as a way to basically say we're no longer going to care about anything to do with sexualization of characters. Like, that wasn't really the sexualization of Rogue. That was the fact that that's the way that characters were being drawn back then, to bring in the dads to let their kids watch X-Men. Like, how else do you bring in a bunch of 30, 40, 50-year-olds besides bringing those characters to life and making them look like they were in the comics growing up that they saw? Like, that was one of the biggest reasons. Look at Black Cat in the Spider-Man 94 series. Look at Rogue. Look at Storm. Look at Jean Grey. All of them are very well pronounced in their feminine features. Even the men are very well pronounced in their masculine features. Wolverine is built. Scott Summers is built. Like, it's no questions asked.
Yep. I mean, like, I feel like this too. Like, that kind of art, I would say, I call it the Todd McFarlane effect back then, because that's when art was getting sexy and cool. Like, he really, like, Spider-Man was like the template for what became that style of Liefeld, McFarlane, Jim Lee, all running at the same time, doing this insane art. X-Force you had X-Men, you had Spider-Man, you had 3 of the greatest artists, like, just running around, just exchanging ideas and making the stories crazier, to the point they all break off and do their own thing. I mean, Spawn's born out of that, but Spawn was way around. Like, Tommy Fallon had Spawn since he was in high school, so this is something that he's always worked on. And I understand, like, why would you want to do this on your own and go off and do it? But I love to see, like, when you have creators like that understand the business to the point that they profoundly change the entire business. I mean, this is why you got in the early 90s. Like, there was one even older than that. And it came out before the X-Men. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Watch that one. Yeah, Firestorm. If any Firestar, if you guys watch that and I'm saying Firestar, you already know what the hell I'm talking about. Because I don't know who had a fatter ass, Firestar or Rogue. But yeah, so you start seeing it from there, and you start seeing the comics coming over. And I was a kid when this was all happening. So what you were saying is true. Yeah, they were getting the dads in with the sons, like, oh, look at this. Like, so you're sitting there watching X-Men with your son, you're like, oh, look, and the wife is thinking, oh, look, my boys are bonding. Meanwhile, they're checking out Rogue's fatty. They're just looking at her fatty, like, oh, this is very well drawn on.
What was Rogue's most pronounced power that they actually, like, elaborated on later on? I think it was season 2 or 3 in the animated series. She could fly. What did she never do during the X-Men movies? She never flew.
Never flew. Yep.
Because, and like, that's in large part due to the CGI of the days. Those movies came out in like 99 or 2000, and to sit there and have a character fly and make it look realistic without the cape, without, like, basically all she does is float.
Yeah.
That was not something that anybody wanted to attempt. And that's why you had Storm. Storm was able to fly. Jean Grey was able to fly. Like, they used the characters that people knew about And they knew that if they made Rogue fly, they would have had to then go down the rabbit hole of introducing Captain Marvel, which obviously, if you don't have the rights to it, kind of sucks. Can't really do that.
And there we go again with all them rights, you know? Like, I
Uh-huh.
love, you know, like, I just hope when I'm creating my universe, I'm not selling nothing, by the way. Screw that. You guys, you'll see when this thing grows. Trust, I'm not selling anything. I already know the value of what I got. And it's sad to see, like, the mashup of the business over, like, my lifetime. I've watched, like, these rights just being sold off, like, cheap pieces of paper, like, and I understand because nobody knew who these characters were. Like, they were starting to get popular in the 70s, but nobody, unless you was a real hardcore, like, comic book collector, which they were really, like, considered nerds back then. Like, no one collected Bert the Nerd, you know?
You were the biggest of the dweebs.
You know, so you got this stuff here like I have, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting 100,000 for this. Yeah, sure, I'll give you some rights to this. And it seems like a lot of money at the time. But I learned my lesson from most people that's done this mistake. It's not a mistake. You know, there was a saying, when there's money on the table, you should take it, but always know your worth as well. If you're taking something and you feel that it's just not worth it, then wait. Then you build your empire. And that's what I like about how comics are done, Marvel, DC, and how I feel like going back to what we were talking about, nostalgia counts. You want to make money? It's real simple. Nostalgia counts. These guys are going to the movie because what they hear about the White Dragon, what it's telling them is, you're going to have something that's going to remind you of your childhood, but it's going to be for you as the adult males and females you become. And I think that's what all creation should be about. I'm sorry, but you got to please your customers. If you're doing some work and people aren't buying it, then you got to just be straight up to yourself and say, it's not working. That's why I tell everybody, shit on me when it came to my comic. Take a dump on me. I need the harshest criticism. I had people criticizing me left and right. I loved it. And it helped me because when I'm doing book 2 now, I can't wait, guys. The book's going to be done soon. I keep saying that. But I have discovered a way of paneling. Like, I have self-taught myself a lot of things in life. But this way of paneling, along with Wayland, and he can already panel, I mean, it's going to make my book so much more incredible. When you guys see book 2, you're going to see such a huge improvement. I'm doing the lettering. I'm going to do, okay, so you see this lettering right here on the cover right there? That lettering right there? Okay, so you guys know that follow me and have this book. That's going to be the lettering of the narrator of the story. It's going to be like I'm telling the story. So you're going to have, I'm making the thought bubbles, and it's going to have that kind of lettering.
Mm-hmm.
So every character will have like a specific kind of character styling to their lettering, so you know who's talking to who. Because remember, it's 2 creatures in one, so they're having a conversation amongst themselves. So these are ideas I'm getting, and I'm teaching myself these different things, and I'm doing different art panels, and I'm having a freaking blast doing it. I can't wait to make this, because now that I've got all the feedback from book 1, like, honestly, I shouldn't even have Wayland letter it. I mean, he did a good job with lettering it, but I felt like I broke this guy. I'm so sorry, Wayland. You know, like, but I didn't have the concept of doing the lettering until we started doing book 2. And then he was telling me about how, you know, he really can't write. Something happened to his hands when he was younger. So the writing was, I'm killing this guy, and he could draw, but the writing was hard for him. I said, no, I'll figure out the lettering. We'll figure it out. So I figured out I'm going to do the lettering for book 2. And everything I'm doing now is for the fan base. Like, I want to make my story to be not only clear and concise, but interesting and something that you're going to be looking forward to. And I'm putting a lot of work into this, and book 2 is going to be outstanding. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this makes me think about nostalgia and how I would, like, in the future, if anything's ever going to be made. I don't think I would ever make movies about this. If somebody wants to make a movie, that's fine. I would do animation for sure. Animation's where it's at. See, I'll study the DC way. The DC way was the best way to do animation. And I can tell you, it goes back further than you can even imagine. I was a child in the 70s. and we had the
Yep.
Super Friends.
DC's animation
And
has
the
been
Super
fire for a
Friends,
long time.
dude, the Super Friends been around since the early 70s. And
Yeah.
it's lasted to like 1980. Okay? And this was a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Yep.
And it had all the coolest heroes. And that show.
And I'm sure it never made a
was
dime, just like the
good.
Arrowverse.
No, I think this actually made money because these were Saturday morning cartoons. So for all you youngsters that don't know, there used to be, I guess they still do Saturday morning cartoons, but it's not like it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
We would do Saturday morning cartoons from 8 o'clock to 11. And then from 11 o'clock to 1, it was the martial arts 2 hours. Like, it would literally be martial arts for 2 hours. Like, any karate flick, like, every Saturday, they would run like that. This thing would make a fortune. And I remember even back then watching the DC, like, I've always been partial to Marvel. Obviously, you can see. But the thing is that I did like DC stuff. I did like Batman.
Yeah.
I did like Superman. I did like Wonder Woman. Like, I did like how they presented their comics in the form of animation. And I'm telling you, since I was little, I can't remember any animation. Whenever I see like the Batman animations coming out or anything, not the newest ones. I'm talking about the ones that came out within the last couple of years. Because you got to understand, there's going to be a certain point where you ever, like, I always say this, I feel I will be old, really old, when the day comes when I just don't want to purchase anything new to keep up with the current events of things. I'm starting to kind of feel like that, but it's not because I'm old. It's because the stuff is crap. And I guess people's past generations must feel like that. Well, your stuff is crap.
Speaking of all the stuff that was coming out, like in the late 90s, Sony bought Spider-Man from Marvel in 1999. Do you remember how much they paid?
Sony, when they bought Spider-Man in 1999, I don't know, but it was a couple of million. It wasn't that much.
$7 million.
Yeah.
And over 25 years since, or 25 years, this is the 25th year now that Sony has owned the rights, obviously with different regulations in between than what it had started with. Sony has made $10.37 billion off of Spider-Man characters.
8.27, but $10 billion. Wow.
And obviously that's the gross of all the films and the standalone films, crossover films, villain movies, animated Spider-Verse projects. That's everything that they've come out with.
Okay,
but
so look, check it out.
$10 billion off a $7 million. Like,
that's what I'm talking about. You see? Right? You're like, exactly. Because you're like,
shit. I can't even imagine what that money even looks like. $10 billion.
Well, it's about 9.6 billion than what they got originally for that. So I mean, look, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't care what ideas you got. Guys, listen, please create. Because you never know. You're gonna have the next hot comic. I'm pretty sure when J.K. Rowling was writing her books, going to her work fair job, because she was collecting government assistance over there, which there's nothing wrong with getting help, by the way. I mean, some of the richest people come from the poorest environments. Trust me. And
because
there's
they
honor in that.
Money.
Right. And they aren't, and like when you're at the very bottom like that, you understand how hard it is to not only get to the top, but to maintain your position at the top.
Yeah, and Jeff Bezos was just like that.
Yeah, I mean, another one, like, hey, he saw a vision. He's like, I can make money selling books, and I can just make a whole business around this. And, he had the means to grab our loan out from the family. I think he was actually given $287,000 by his family to start the company. And, look at that $287,000 turned into.
Yeah.
And he wasn't dumb. Like, I'm going to sell my company to Google. I'm going to sell my company. Like, Amazon was trying to get picked up by Google, by Microsoft, by all these companies. But he knew. He's like, no, I have something special here. Something that no one's ever going to have in history. So I'm just going to keep my guns.
Every major city in the United States and beyond has an Amazon hub that has at least 30 trucks coming in and out of it daily.
Yep. And you never saw that a couple years ago. You never even saw them, and now they're here. That's why I keep saying for people, look, I'm not an investor. Don't listen to me. I'm not a professional stock person. You'll lose your money. But honestly, buy Amazon. Amazon. That stock will never die. 20 years, it's got straight returns. It just turned over and went back to like, it just went to a 21 split. It hasn't done a split in like 20 something years. So this is something that, it sucks in a way for like all the mom and pops. That's why I started my own comic book company. Hey, it's where I'm going. Wherever I'm at in shows, or you could look for me and buy my stuff online, symbioversecomics.com. Got my own website. This is the future. This is how you have to work now. You know, the times of brick and mortar are too expensive and they're over. That's it. You don't need no brick and mortar. You want my comic? I got you. Don't worry about it. Talk to me. I'll hook you up. It's all good. But that's how it is. Like, I understand the model business and like how people like with shopping like that and doing things like that, especially using Amazon as an example of an original idea. It's so mind blowing. That's why I tell everybody, when you get an idea, hold on to it, patent it, and don't be in a rush to sell it. I can't wait till somebody steps to me with this comic and tries to give me anything offers. I tell this to Marvel and DC, and I do talk to a few people in the industry, as you know. I do talk to a couple of big people in the Marvel DC industry, and it comes down to like an offer. If it ever is going to be made, I will not accept it, no matter how much money it is, because you got to understand. Like, I don't know what your goals are in life, like meaning in the general. I'm talking to everyone, not just you, but everyone's goals in life. But if you think that money is your goal, let me tell you something. Money is not the goal ever. I mean, don't get me wrong. Try to make as much money as you can. I'm not saying that. Don't ever stop hustling. The hustle is the lifeblood of the United States. It's what makes us who we are. Never stop the hustle. But always remember, too, when you are building your life and you're building something that you feel yourself is into, money doesn't matter. It's not about money. It's about legacy. I'm not making a comic book to make money. I would like to make money off of it one day, but this is for legacy, for something that is going to be left behind for future generations to be talking about, like we talk about now, where everything's behind us. We talk about Stan Lee, we talk about Marvel, we talk about Spider-Man, we're talking about Superman, we're talking about all the heroes. And this is what I want to do. That's what's important to me.
This right here, the stuff you're watching right now,
yeah,
we don't do this to sit here and make money off of it.
No.
If we were doing this to make money off of it, we wouldn't be sitting here on YouTube. We'd be sitting in some big studio having a conversation like the big YouTubers out there. Like,
exactly.
We'd be doing stuff like that. Exactly. This is to have a conversation about comics between people who love comics.
Yeah.
We've seen time and time again comic book companies sit there and talk about their comics and fail because they don't know how to engage their audience. Our biggest thing is trying to engage our audience, doing giveaways like this, doing things where we can talk about the comics that we create or the things that we create and have fun with it. Talk about the stuff that Jim Lee did 30 years ago. Talk about the stuff that Stan Lee started and built and then sold to Sony. Talk about like all this stuff that doesn't in the grand scheme of things really matter and really make money, but at the end of the day it matters to us, and we can have this conversation where we can enjoy everything that we've talked about. Legacy of the Nerd, what is up? So first thing when I started
Legacy of the Nerd, that's what it's all
when
about.
I started talking about Jason David Frank and this project, I started looking up what people have been saying about it, and the earliest video I could find was 4 months ago when Legacy of the Nerd was talking about like what this movie was, when it was going to come out, all of that, and like what pushed it back. So like obviously Jason David Frank, his death pushed it back. Then you had the writer's strike that pushed it back to this quarter of 2024. And then right now it's kind of just, I think they want to honor Jason David Frank, and I think they want to release it on his birthday like it was originally meant to happen. I think that's why they're going to push it back to the late spring or late summer, early fall.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Like I'm actually hearing, I didn't hear about the birthday part, but now that you said that, it does make sense because I heard what you just said. late summer to early fall, but I didn't know that was his birthday, which that would make sense because then it's going out on a classy note. So
Exactly.
so as you're telling me that, and I'm hearing this from different people, I'm believing in so I'm not 100 on this, guys, but I'm usually always right. This is probably going to be late summer to the early fall, and it would make sense to release it for his birthday as an honor and a tribute. And sad situation will happen, but like you said, Chris, there shouldn't be no reason why this shouldn't be released. As an honor to the man, you should release it.
Exactly.
But I understand also, time heals all wounds. I get that. These are the kind of subjects you have to tiptoe around very carefully. I mean, I'm an insensitive person. I mean, I did for a living before this. I'm totally insensitive, and I don't want to be like that, But with situations like this, I can understand them erring to the side of caution over everything else because I think that does make sense in the long run. That you should be respectful to not just the artist, but you should be respectful to the process, what happened, and be classy about it. I think for me personally, if they anytime they would have released, it wouldn't have been a problem for me because then I understand what happened and I get it. I'm a big boy and I understand that shit happens in life. Unfortunately, I just tell people, look, if you're ever thinking about checking out this world, please reach out to anybody. Reach out to me. I don't care. I have an Instagram, Spieslet. Reach out to me. Tell me what's wrong. I'll talk to you. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I wrote lyrics a while back for Kurt Cobain when he self-deleted. And I always said to myself, why? Because it was better for you to burn out than fade away. You should have fought your sorrows. You should have tried to hold on and stay until tomorrow. I'm trying to sing the song now. But yeah, so I made a whole song about it. Like, it was about anti self-deletion. And I just felt like, these things need to be said to people because anything could be going on. And it goes for me too. I'm not saying I've ever thought about self-deletion or anything like that. I'm just saying that I was able to handle my pain in a way that I was able to manage. And this is what life is about. We're going to go through pain in life, but pain's temporary. You understand? Like, your mindset is temporary. You can't solve your temporary pain with a permanent solution of checking out. It doesn't work like that. The way you become the person you're meant to become is to struggle sometimes. And some of us are meant to go through pain, especially men. Well, it's okay. Go through pain. Get through the other side of that, and you'll be okay.
Legacy of the Nerd, you were talking to the director, you were saying, we were chatting on Instagram before the show.
Okay.
And so basically what I'm understanding based on this comment and the other one that they're doing pickup shots last month is it was ready for release, but it wasn't because of the writer's strike. They wanted to pull it back. They wanted to make sure that it was perfect because obviously this is going to be Jason David Frank's last role. And I completely understand that. The thought of like this coming out and it not being well received by critics, I can completely understand why you would want to sit there and say, hey, let's do everything we possibly can to make sure that this movie is exactly what it needs to be. Let's make sure that this is the best send-off that it can possibly be. And this is what I've been hearing too, is that 90% of the movie was done before he passed on. And that, again, like being able to make sure that you honor the legacy while still understanding that this is an entertainment thing, that it's not something that needs to be created. Like, it's not life or death to create this movie. It was not something that had to be done, but it was a story inside the heart of people involved. And now that it is 4 years later, this story needs to be told. Like, this is one of those things where we've seen so many different iterations of Power Rangers. We deserve to see what other people can do with it. And I want to see this come to fruition because this could be the jumping off point for a Power Rangers trilogy. The 2017 Power Rangers was good. It was okay. there were, like I said earlier, there were many flaws in it. There were issues with it, but at the same time, it showed that you can make a modern day Power Rangers movie. This is going to be the thing that says we can make a modern Power Rangers Day movie. It doesn't have to be a $500 million budget movie. It doesn't have to be this big, huge production. And honestly, I would love to see Legend of the White Dragon turn into something even more. Because just looking at the 2 trailers that are out there right now, this movie is everything that my 5-year-old self wanted and saw in Power Rangers.
I
Like,
mean,
it is amazing.
who knows? I mean, like, if it does do good, I mean, I don't know how the movie begins or ends, or who's the white dragon or whatnot. But I mean, if done right, I mean, you can make this into a series on any one of these platforms: Netflix, Amazon. I mean, like, damn. Don't put it on Disney though; it'll fail on Disney.
That's the thing about the Power Rangers.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Power Rangers are a group of people who come together, and they might not get along at first, but they find ways to be successful, and they find ways to overcome adversity. That's why so many kids are drawn to them. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who's under the mask.
Right.
It's a symbol of hope, and it's a symbol of strength, and it's like the Legend of the White Dragon could, if like not done right, because I know it will be done right, but if done with the ability to move into a new era without Jason David Frank, you could turn this, like you said, into a series or a trilogy and have it be that darker side of Power Rangers, have it be that beautiful creation that, like I said, our 5-year-old selves want to see. Us 90s kids want to see Power Rangers on the big screen again. Power Rangers Turbo spoiled us. Like, being able to go see that. I had nightmares from that one. I think I was 5 years old when that came out, literally. And I was like, holy shit, there's aliens and all this stuff. And my mom was like, said to my dad, how dare you take him to go see that movie? Now he's fucked up in the head. Like, obviously I don't know if this is what actually was said, but you know what I mean? Like, my parents were not too happy with each other after this. But I always remember that movie being fucking phenomenal. I showed it to my brother when he was 5 years old because he was getting into Power Rangers in the early 2000s. And he loved it. He loved SPD. That was like his jam, and he followed it pretty much religiously for the next 5 to 7 years. The different iterations. Yeah. And looking back on it, I didn't realize that there's 150 or so episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh yeah.
There are so many episodes because there's so many different ways to take these characters. So over the years, to have only 30 years of content and still be able to tell 30 to 50 episodes worth of stories in a season tells you that they are thinking about these characters and they have missions and ideas for these characters that go well beyond the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, like, as being a writer, I understand what that means. Like, when you have, like I said, the formula. Saban had the formula back in the day. They found that, and the formula is like, in case you guys are wondering where that really all comes from, that comes from, like, believe it or not, the old Godzilla and the old King Kong. And I'm telling you, go back to watch any of that, and you'll see. You're gonna be like, oh my god, it's like watching, like when they're doing the robot fights. That is exactly how a Godzilla movie was done back in the day. Exactly like that. Big, ridiculous looking guys running into each other, but it was cool to watch that. You know, it didn't look great, but who cares? We got it, and that's all that mattered. Because you see, back then, I think kids were like, I'm gonna say more imaginative with the fact that you had some CGI that was completely crap, but you know, you got the basics, and in our minds we can just make it look better. So you know, thing that looks like some stuff from Godzilla in the 70s, and they're fighting. I thought it was freaking awesome. I was like, look at this, man. I like this style. I like how they grab it back to the traditional Godzilla movies and these tropes of these old, like, um these the Power Rangers actually, like, the character of Rita Repulsive, she was actually supposed to be in an old school, like, um Japanese shogun, like, movie. She was supposed to be a witch or something, right? I swear.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally casted
They
her,
repurposed her or something.
yes,
Yeah.
for Rita Repulsa. And the thing about it is that I like that because they took another old school aspect of that like when you see, like, the old school martial arts flicks, like the
Yep.
kung fu flicks and the karate flicks, it's that kind of movement. Look at how she talks. She's not speaking English. That's what I like. Like,
Yeah.
these things, like, really, these little subtle things that, because like I said, I grew up in a freaking in the 70s, so I got to see what made me like the Power Rangers was the things that they were grabbing from the 70s,
Yeah.
only because I knew, because I saw it for myself, and they incorporated it into this so well. I was like, oh man, they're onto something. This is cool. And I stuck with it. And I was like, oh, I was in my early 20s when it came out, but I watched it. I watched it religiously. I love the Power Rangers. I mean, all of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I got to a couple of the newer ones, but that mine was always a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But yeah, when Tommy came back, I was like, oh shit, Green Ranger's back. Let's go see what's going on, And that's what
Yep.
it does. And that's what you want. You want that familiarity. Like, even when you watch a Spider-Man, right? And you don't know what the story is going to be about or anything, you still have that familiarity with the character because they made the character do in the movie what he could do in the comics. And that's what you want. So you see, this story, like, it's got that familiarity about being a ranger, but like I
Yep.
said, it's going to be more of a darker side, adult orient. I think you're hitting the right demographics, you're hitting your right customer base, the audience. People crowdfunded this enough to get this started, so that tells you there's an interest there. I mean, I say good luck to it. I really can't wait till it comes out. This is one of the movies I actually want to see for this year, besides Deadpool, and I really want to see, like, guy's final performance and see how it is, and hopefully they leave it in a way that they can expand on it. That's all I hope, is that
Yes.
but I gotta be honest, we were just saying this a few minutes ago, especially as someone being a writer, I'm always thinking of world building, even if it's not down on paper. It's already
Yep.
happening. I'm already 12 books ahead in my mind, even though I'm not up to those that yet. I still
Yeah.
am world building, but I'm already seeing the future. So I'm pretty sure this is how it's done with these guys, and I'm pretty sure that this will spin off something for sure. But go ahead, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
for sure. I hope that it spins it off in a way where we get more Power Rangers content, because the
Yeah.
comics have been doing pretty well lately from what I understand. I haven't been picking up too many. I pick them up every now and again. Honestly, besides like the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, I haven't been picking up much. I've been kind of leaving it up to cover buys for a lot of it, and like the mini series, just so that way I can kind of get in and get out of
Yeah.
stuff. And then yeah, I mean, there's times where I'll pick up a Power Rangers book where there's like a free book or something, or a book that's in the dollar bin that looks cool. And I
Yeah.
mean, the writing's good, the artistry's good. It's
Mm-hmm.
just getting into it. That's the hard part. It's
Yeah.
staying into it for the long haul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's definitely one of those times where you get to see so many different things and you get to enjoy everything coming out all at once. And
Yeah.
that's the best part about all of this, is that
Yeah.
it really truly is a great time for pop culture. And I'm excited to see what they do with this. This is a movie that I honestly would love for them to just like release it in a not even a theater. I would love for them to release it into a like stadium. Put it up on a big screen on a scoreboard in a stadium, sit around and watch the movie up high, like it,
And
and
make it
just
like make it a concert experience too.
Yes.
Laser lights, all
Yup.
that crap. Yeah, I would do that.
Make
That
it
would be
a
a great
hell
idea.
of an event.
Yeah.
But
Listen, we got a stadium close to us, guys. Come on over, MetLife. It's not too far from me. This one I don't have to go for.
definitely. All right. On that note, I've got to get going. But thank you for allowing me to have this conversation, because this is one that's been kind of eluding me for a while. Like we kind of said, is that just that people have forgotten about this one.
Yeah, I mean, like, thank you for bringing this up, because I remember talking about this, and when you brought it up, I was like, oh damn, that's right. I was like, look, man, but like in the future, if you ever want to talk about the Power Ranger curse, I mean, I did a lot of research.
Definitely.
On it. I mean, this is something else that we can connect to the show as well, because so if you guys don't know, just go online. There's about 12 curses that connect to the Power Rangers. I'm not gonna go into it right now; it's too long. And also, can I just plug my comic, please? Listen, still for sale. Symbiotic Book 1 of Book of Einstein. That's the company, and my website is symbioversecomics.com. And thank you for. I had a couple new orders, and 2 people now. My book for the first time is going to Puerto Rico, and one just went off to Canada. And shout out to my boys that bought for me. I appreciate you guys, and I can't wait till you guys get it. And that's it. And I'm done. So I'll keep you guys updated with book 2, but I'll have more about that next week. So peace out, everyone.
Have a great night.
Guys. Have a nice night, everyone. We are out. Later.